All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever RBG Esports showcasing Trackmania Grand League, the Challenger Division. We are starting on Step 3, and we are going to be showcasing our first ever Trackmania Grand League, player, Exotica. It's not fully updated on the bottom. It says Loud Esports, but no. He's on RBG Esports, as you can see on the car. I am your host and caster, Randomize, and with me is the one and only Snowman. Snowman, how are you doing tonight?
Hello, Randomize. I am doing fantastic. I'm pretty hyped to get into this third step with you.
Yeah, so we are like we said, we are in step 3 of 8 before the playoffs. Each step, players are going to be working to try to get points depending on the positions they finish under each map, and then there will be a multiplier style at the end, and I'm going to let Snowman talk about that. But for anyone that is joining us for the first time in Trackmania, welcome. I hope you're as excited as we are. I know I'm losing it because I fell in love with this game the second I saw it at a Games Done Quick. Virtual himself was actually speedrunning it. I had to get the game, and here we are, just probably just a few months later. And very happy that we were able to get Snowman on board with us. He has the knowledge that we are going to need. A good friend of Exotica's. So let's get into the details. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Snowman, what are we going to expect today?
So we are going to be expecting a nice little step here, and if we can pull up the little infographic, we will be able to see that the step is split into 2 different main sections that you briefly touched on. So the first 4 tracks will be in laps mode, and each position will be earn all of the players the certain respective amount of points. One thing to note is the big gap between 8th position and 9th position. This is to encourage high-risk strategies and fast pace, rather than just safing it and getting like a nice middle position. So you want to be in the top 8, otherwise you're really not going to get too many points per map. The final map will be run in rounds mode with 2 laps each, and this is where the multipliers come in. So you're going to want to be able to get first and beat all the 15 other players to grab yourself a multiplier. You'll notice that as we progress through the round, the multiplier increased from 2 times in the first 4 maps to ×3 for the 5th and 6th, ×4 for the 7th, and finally ×8 for the last round. And this is to encourage a little bit of strategy and risk, so players may want to hold off from playing or winning the first 2 rounds to grab themselves a higher bonus. So we might see some strategies being played. Last week we did see one player who purposely threw a ×3 multiplier twice in order to try and get a ×5, but he ultimately failed in doing so. He lost out on a bunch of points that he could have pulled for the total.
And mind you, we want to clarify that it is only 8 rounds you can possibly multiply your points. There are 16 players, so only 8 of them will be able to grab it. But I believe we are going to be starting momentarily. If we, Snowman, if you want to introduce our first course.
Yeah, so the first map will be Bearlistic by Banano. We can go through this little map presentation here.
Yeah, a little scary. Right off the bat, you're going to be bouncing off plastic, and then there's identities left and right. And just to explain to anyone that doesn't understand identities, it's basically what gives the track its unique feature. And as you can see, it's them barreling over to the track. They're going to be going off the ramps at an angle, doing a barrel roll, as we know in Star Fox 64, even though it's not correct. And yeah, it's a very tricky mechanic to do here in Trackmania, and we are going to see how much risk these players are going to be taking. I know Exotica has been working really hard this entire week, actually working on this map. So currently you're looking at a warm-up. They get a little bit of a longer warm-up for this map, I believe, for map 1, and then from then on the warm-ups are going to get a little shorter. So what can we expect, Snowman, coming out of this map? I mean, like, how, if we had to rate this a 1 out of 10, how hard would this map be compared to the other ones that we're going to be seeing later on?
Compared to the other ones, I'd say this one is pretty difficult. Obviously, the barrel rolls require a very precise lineup, and it's very, very punishing if you were to fall off on one. So you can lose 5-10 seconds easy just by one simple mistake, and they have to do this 3 times per lap on 6 laps. And it certainly doesn't help that this is now the first map that they're going to be playing, starting, because mentality is a massive thing. So you really want to start off strong with a strong mental focus to prepare yourself before the start of the step. As we see Nixo here seems to have actually made a mistake or gotten very unlucky with the bounce at the start and has dropped down almost immediately.
We seem to have lost the name tag somehow. What's the hotkey to get that name tag back?
I believe the names tag should be the asterisk, or like the little squiggly line.
There we go. There, we could see them on. Yeah, so unfortunate right off the bat. Nixo had to make a quick adjustment. Getting off that bounce, a little weird. So he's going to be falling behind, but we're still going to be following from top. If we just hop on Nixo's POV, just so we can get an idea of how this track is going to be working. There are 6 laps, so it's not the biggest deal. Many mistakes could happen, especially on this map. So we're going to be kind of getting an idea of how this is working at the beginning. As you can see, we are coming up to the double identity. And this one's a freewheel one. This one's a pretty scary one right off the bat. You need to make sure you have enough speed to get up that one. But you can already see Nyx is starting to catch up to some players, and he's already jumped up to 13th place. We have 3 other players making a mistake, and surprisingly to see Cap down here. Cap is one of the, I would say, one of the stronger challenger players. So really good for Nixo, getting right off the bat. And I apologize if I'm going to be butchering some of the names. I have not practiced saying their names. But yeah, no, Snowman, we're already seeing some progression. I mean, 6 seconds behind first place. Evan, not surprised seeing him up there. He's been one of the stronger Polish players alongside with Mime. So really cool to see them up there.
Yeah, really. Both the Polish players have been performing outstandingly so far in these first 2 steps. Kind of expected. They were definitely favorites. Mime especially, as he's a younger driver, but very much rising quickly through the league, and probably is a favorite to jump up into the Grand League. But we definitely see quite a big number of mistakes early on. Even though Nixo made the first one, you can already see that he's now up into 12th position, and only a couple seconds back from Miquatra and Link, who are sitting in 10th and 11th. In fact, one person just dropped. I believe that was Revolution. Dropped back even further, so it bumps up Nixo into 11th.
Yeah, Nixotica doing a really good job now. Playing consistently, not playing too daring. Off to this magnet part here, going down the loop-de-loop. And right here, it's a little tricky because you're going to get a lot of speed on the grass part, and you want to make sure you get through that quick enough so that you stay on the ground and not fly off. And with the ice, he's going to be able to get a nice turn from ice to dirt. Surprised that has anyone attempted to do a bug slide there, or is it just not worth?
Not entirely. So bug slides are really useful in tighter sections. But because that corner opens up quite a bit on exit, you would lose more speed than you would gain from a bug slide.
That makes complete sense. But we are on lap 4 of 6, and we are really seeing the Exotica climbing the live rankings right now. Really nice job by him. Again, it's a lot about consistency and taking risks here and there. Oh, Snow and Link both just pushing right through this one, the 2 French players. pushing Exotica back to 11th place, but still not as bad. We saw him at the beginning with a 5-second deficit to the first place, and now he's currently sitting about 3. Actually, really rough to see Revolution almost 30 seconds behind. I think at this point, Revolution is just going to try to catch up and not DNF, because I believe once the first place crosses, is it 30 seconds, or am I imagining things?
Oh yeah, you're correct. It's 30 seconds. I'd honestly think from a competitive standpoint, he's probably just now focusing on the next map. Oh no. Nixo goes a slightly too wide and is not able to stick to the magnet. Will lose out a bit. Drops down to 12th place behind Mime and Otak. Very unfortunate to see. But it's very much a mental game, especially in these laps formats. Once you drop down those precious seconds, you really just want to focus on the next map. You can regather yourself and try to do better.
Yeah, again, even though Nyx has been making a couple mistakes, luckily they're right near the checkpoints, so the players are able to recover. And, you know, Nyx is just doing a really good job being consistent. Once he gets out of that checkpoint, he makes sure to stay very consistent halfway through to the end of the next checkpoint. And again, Nyx here. No engine, able to get that turn nicely. Back again on the ice. You can see he's a little bit behind. Whoa! I'm actually noticing some players that I would not expect to see down here. Mime has fallen down, and Otak is right behind Mime. So Nyx right here just pretty much has to play consistent and pretty much pray and hope that one of these players is going to make mistakes. Come up against the plastic bounce again. And the nice thing about Trackmania, again, for anyone new to the game itself, there are some mechanics that you can do in the air. I know we have some Rocket League fans who are also tuning in that enjoy it. Oh, Fegley falling down, actually. Hang on. Let's get back to it, and I'll explain the mechanics later. Fegley fell pretty hard, I believe. Fegley was sitting somewhere near 6th place, and now really falling down in the rankings, falling into 14th place. Not really sure what the mistake was or how it happened. But Nyx, again, showing good consistency, holding on, starting to really creep up behind Snow. Snow falls. He was not able to hold on. I forgot the name of it. What is that? That boost thingy
reactor
that pushes
boost.
you down? Which one?
The reactor boost. He ran out of reactor boost, and instead of sucking him into the ground, he actually flew out completely.
Yes. And again, and the no engine here is a little scary. Oh, someone was able to make a tight turn on Nyx there. Oh, it was Otak. So Nyx.
Evon and Otak, actually, I think.
Oh,
They
yeah, it
both,
was 2 of them.
They both tipped him.
Yeah, so Nyx went a little wide on that final barrel roll. And Evan and Otak, really, they do a really good job keeping it tight there. But with that, Nyx will take 11th place on the first map. Not a bad job for someone who had to reset right off the bat. And as you can see, Nyx will be gaining 3 points. Evon with the best lap, and he's going to get some extra points for that. So it's going to help him out sitting down in 9th place.
Pretty interesting to look at the top players. Razi winning that map has not won a map yet in this step, so good on him.
Yeah, again.
But we are going to be transitioning into the next map. This will be On the Edge by Apopuet.
Oh, this is the map I hate. I will be open and honest with this one. It is a tight map. It is close. If I remember correctly, this is a kind of a NASCAR style map.
Yeah, it's very fast and flowing, very technical. So we'll see a lot of drifts and very close lines. The big part of this map will be its identity around the circular edges that you must run in freewheel, which is a completely engine off block. You are not allowed to accelerate. So if you make any sort of touch or mistake, you're just going to drop down the order like a rock.
Yeah, and we did see last week a lot of players who were holding great leads, even bumping on one of those little pillars, little tiny bumps. See, this map lives to its name. You are constantly going to be on the edge. There's very, very tight turns, as you can see right here in the warm-up. Got about a minute on it. Also, happy Halloween to everyone. I was so excited about this game. I completely forgot it's a holiday today. So happy Halloween. Make sure to post your costumes and tag at RBG_esports. We'd love to check out what you're rocking today. I am currently wearing a lot of RBG gear, so I guess you could say my costume is RBG esports. I don't know if that counts.
Very original.
Very original, right? I know our producer Vault back there is his costume is Pajama Man. He's probably hanging out in his pajamas. It's a little bit it's a little early for our producer Vault. Really big shout outs to Vault in the background for jumping in here. Well, I wasn't sure if I was going to be back in time. I know I won't be next week. Since the time zones are screwing everybody up. But here we go. 6 laps. Lap number 1 starting off the bat. And it's going to be tight. Probably, I would say, for at least half of this map. Until we get to the freewheeling. That's when we're really going to start seeing everyone spreading out. And Nyx doing a good job jumping out there. Currently holding 4th place. Here comes our first pin hair turn. And Nyx loses a little bit of speed there. He's probably going to drop down to 8th. Yes, that's exactly it here. Little bouncy plays coming around. We're getting brief introductions of what they're going to be going up against. It was I guess a half identity as they cut through that one. Nyx falling down a little bit, but that's okay. And coming up to our first dirt spin turn. And then a close turn again in between that dirt side. And here we go. We got our first freewheeling moment. A good amount of speed coming out of Nyx. And we're going to go into the identity here. They're going to have to do this 3 times. A decent time, but Nyx ended up having to break a little bit more than he probably wanted to. And drop down to 10th place. But hey, I mean, that was about, I want to say 11 people, 12, 15, a good amount of people have made it through the identity the first time, Snowman.
Yeah, indeed. We did see a couple people drop, including Cap and Snow, I believe. They touched just on the edge. But Nixo is very much in a good position right now. All it takes is one of these players to just make the tiniest of mistakes, and he will capitalize.
Oh, no. We did actually see an error. Revolution. Revolution's just struggling, man. I mean, I'm very happy to see him in the Challenger League, but these maps are hard. They're so unforgiving. And Revolution's just getting bullied by these maps.
Yeah, very much so. He hasn't had the best season so far yet, and I think that does come into play, especially when you get going into a step. I said it once, and I'm going to say it again. It's all about that mentality. It can be really difficult to bring yourself up if you keep dropping down. We're going into this next set of identities. We see Nixo getting it pretty cleanly. Not the absolute most speed, gets overtaken by Begley and Snow, but still very clean, very steady, and that's really what you want to see out of these lap runs.
Also, just a reminder, I'm pointing this out, I'm throwing this out there because a lot of people on the RBG staff are very new to this game. The players will not bump into each other. I had one of our staff members watching last week, and he almost had a heart attack with the amount of times the cars are going through each other, and he thought the players were going to bump each other. The players will not touch each other. I mean, I would probably say almost every single one of them are not even playing with a ghost. Oh, what happened there, Snow? Just lost. Did he clip something?
No, so Snow got what is called a no slide. If you brake and turn before completely rotating your car and or not having enough speed, you will not drift. You'll actually just completely brake and then slightly turn. And a lot of times that catches people off guard because their line gets altered, and you'll do what Snow did and drive straight into the apex of the corner. As we see, both Razi and who was that, Hydra, I believe, touched and lost out quite a bit of time. We also see Link just ahead of Nick, though, taking the safer start line, so he would have lost out a bit on speed. But Nixo jump up into 6th position just like that, fighting along with Begley and Solja here. Good stuff so far, though.
Yeah, no, Nixo has been playing very consistent. I'm going to knock on wood. Don't want to cast a curse here. But I mean, at this point, you want to look to see if you could just try to hold the top 8 position, especially because starting step 3, Exotica has been sitting in 14th place with 75 points. He's really going to try to rack up some points. So sitting in that top 8 position, probably for the rest of step 3, is going to make things a little bit safer for him. Again, we do have the multiplier arounds on the 5th track that could change everything. I think I'm not a big fan of the system, but the fact that you won't be counted out from step 6 to 8 if you've been having a rough time. I mean, Revolution, you see, he's still sitting pretty far in the back, but even if he could just get a couple good courses here and there and then just win time 5s almost every step, he could easily catapult himself back up to the top. But just, Default and Revolution both sitting far back. They are having a rough time here on the edge. But Exotica and Fegli holding the 7th and 8th position. The Americans really trying to prove that America can play well in Trackmania. I know it's a very European dominant game, but the 2 Americans really making us proud. And I mean, we even in the main event, we have Carl Jr., the Canadian, representing North America very well. So it's not all Europe. There's America here.
Yeah, the Frenchies, of course, will always catch on to Carl as he is from Quebec, Canada, so he speaks French most of the time.
Okay, so it's half.
Yeah, so we count it, right? So if there's any North America competitions, he's on our side, right?
Yep,
so.
yep. Doesn't matter what language you speak, as long as you live in the North American region, you're on our side. But speaking of the Frenchies themselves, Link, Cap, Hydra, like Energized, they're all sitting pretty low. These guys are relatively no names in the Challenger division. I'm really surprised to see they're struggling a little bit, but I'm happy because that allows Nyx to really be pushing up. Sitting in 6th place, he's slowly climbing up as Snow passes him, falling down to 7th place, but seeing on the turn here, Nyx actually follows Snow's line, so that will not allow him to gain a spot. The hairpins are really tough to try to get in really tight. It's one of those, like you said, it's a mentality thing. It's a mind game. Do I go for the extra risk or not? We are in the 6th lap. At this point, you have to pretty much pick and choose your battles. I would personally pick consistency, especially because Exotica is sitting in 7th place still, with Fegli falling a little bit behind him. So there is a little bit of elbow room to still hold this 7th position. And I'm really surprised that Nyx likes to take this a little bit tighter than I would think. You could see everyone else takes a wider line into it. But anywho, Nyx gets through the identities really well, I would say, all the way through, and holds 7th place.
Yeah, he's able to get himself 16 points with that. Very nice. I'm sure he's super happy about that 7th position. As I talked about, top 8 is what you really, really want. And if you're able to string together 4 top 8s in a row, you're going to be sitting pretty, even if you're not able to get a ×2 or more.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it jumps you up on the leaderboard, and that's a very important thing. Nyx now sitting in 10th place. Not a surprise to see Mime all the way up on top. The guy is dominating. The young lad is dominating the Challenger. I would also not be surprised if he promotes to main event for next season. He has been playing amazing Trackmania.
Yeah, it just seems unflappable, if you will. So, but we'll go into the next map here, which will be Whole Party by Histo. The name of the game of this map will be, as the name suggests, Holes. So we can check that out in the presentation.
Yeah, there are a lot of them on this map. So this one, again, it's just like the last map. It's about that accuracy of your driving, making sure not to overcommit on a turn, make sure you're able to keep a tight turn, stay in your line. Again, it's going to be a lot of risk rewards in this map. So as you can see here on your screen, there is a lot of freewheeling right through these maps, and they're going to be going at a really high speed. It is scary, and there are plenty of traps on this map. So we are going to be in the 1-minute warm-up. I don't really remember last week. Snow, how did Nixotica do on this map last week?
Last week was actually quite an insane run. Nixo did a personal best run, yet only managed to finish in 10th position. If you compared that to the top flight race, Nixo would have finished top 4. So, give you an idea of how crazy times these players were driving. Like they were driving better than the top 16 players in the world, just out of the bat. And it was very, very close to the entire race. So, I am imagining it's going to be very similar. But I know that Nixo feels pretty confident on this map, and I think he'll be able to carry the momentum that he just got off the last map into this one.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. You know, I gotta say, when I picked this game up and I started getting my first few author titles, I was like, I'm starting to feel good. I think I'm pretty good at this game. And then I started watching Nixo and all of them play, and it just put me to shame. But here we go. We are in the first lap of 6 on pole party. Nixo starting pretty far back on this one. Again, it's a very rough map. There are going to be a lot of tight turns, a lot of tight corners, and a lot of poles. So I'll give you $5 if you can count every single pole on this map. I don't even know how many there are, but I'll give someone $5 if they can figure out how many poles they're going to be driving by.
That's some big cash right there.
Hey man, that's hashtag not sponsored. That's 5 cheeseburgers at McDonald's. I'd be a happy boy.
Can't go wrong with 5 cheeseburgers. That's for sure. But we are going up into the first major identity. There was a semi-identity that the players driven through before, but this next one is in freewheel, so you cannot recover if you hit into the pole. Looks like everyone gets it clean. Mi4tro drops down, but is able to contain most speed. Oh, we see, I think that was Dofault flipping a tree or something. I don't think he made the jump. Actually, it was Snow. They have the same skin, so that can be a little bit confusing. But Snow drops down all the way back to last position. We see Nixo here in 10th, doing well again. Not too far back from Evon and Mime, the 2 Polish leaders, as we're now quite regular, used to seeing. But still well within the fight for the top 8, and driving at a very good, consistent pace like he likes to do.
Yeah, I'm actually blown away of how consistent these top 11 players have been playing right now. Nyx has been kind of trading back and forth with Otak. Otak now just starting to take a little bit of the lead. You could like all the players just look very comfortable on this map, but again, especially at that last identity when they're freewheeling, it can get a little scary. You know, you're going to be trying to build up as much speed right here, and then you're going to be freewheeling for the last bit. Oh, there was a clip right there. I didn't even see who it was, and there's also Link, who also falls behind. That's the hardest part about it, is that you are freewheeling. You touch a pole, you're going to fall down, and hard. Nyx doing a good job climbing up right now in 7th place. A little scary on one of those jumps. His wheels were coming off the ground, so he was losing a little bit of speed, but the recovery is amazing coming out of Exotica right now.
We can see Evon actually made a mistake onto the transition of this current lap that we're on, so he dropped all the way down into 9th position. We also see, who was that, Hydra, I believe?
I think that was Hydra.
Hydra drops down, so Nyx already up into the 6th position, well within the fight for the top spots as well, as we see all 5 of the cars in front of him. Nice, very tight gaggle. Actually, incredible to see. 3.5 minutes in, and the top are only separated by 0.3 of a second. Nixo 0.7 back from the leaders, well within the grasp.
Oh, and Hydra is actually starting to lose a little bit of speed. Nixo is doing a good job just staying right behind them as we come through these poles. And we're going to be coming up to the final identity of lap 3. Freewheeling, nobody makes a bump. So Nixo is going to have to sit in 6th place still. Like you said, we do see the 5 players right in front of them, Energize and Hydra, kind of battling for 4th and 5th place. And Cap, Solja, and Otak. Otak just playing phenomenally right now. Just no mistakes at all. I swear I'm not trying to use my caster curse on Otak to get Nixo up in another place.
Hey, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Trying to get my wizardry spells. Watch some Harry Potter. Come on.
I know I've been at fault many a times in the past for casting matches, only to spoil anybody's parade, but it doesn't seem to be working out on the top 5 at the moment. We still see Hydra and Energy Z right in front of Nixo here, still very close fight between them. One interesting thing is the players will have their position on the back of the card like you see here, and when you're in a tight battle such as Energy Z and Hydra, that number will be switching very, very often, and that can also oftentimes put a little bit of nerves in your head. As we see, Hydra makes a huge mistake. He had to respawn, I believe. Yes, he does. He just plummets down the order.
Watch him flying down there.
Nixo up into that 5th spot. But as I was trying to say, when you see that number constantly switching, you know that there's somebody right next to you, right? And the pressure to beat them just infinitely increases. Even if you can't see them, you can just sense that they're right there, and it makes you push that much harder, and it can lead into doing silly mistakes, just like we saw Hydra do.
Yeah, no, I agree. Coming through the first of the 2 big identities. Nick's still sitting a little bit far behind. Oh, I think I spot a Razi right behind him. For a second there, we could see the nose of the car. But again, Nick's is just really doing a good job, staying consistent. At this point, that's all you really can do. Is you're just going to have to cross your fingers and pray that one of them bumps. Oh, Nick still holds 5th place in that one, but Razi really creeping up on him. I don't know where Razi got all that speed. But Cap is also starting to fall behind Nixotica. Now just trying to get through this final identity. Freewheeling does a nice job.
Razi made a mistake behind Nixo, sorry. So
no, you're good.
He drops quite a ways down, leaving Nixo with a nice, almost 2nd gap to 6th position that Mimes currently sits in.
Yeah, it's oh, there's another mistake right there. So Nix is going to jump up, but it looks like, I believe that's Cap, or no, not Cap, excuse me. That's Energize, who made the mistake, and he's really just trying to gain his speed back, and Nixo is just fighting him for his 4th place, but you can also see Mime creeping up behind both of them. The big space between the top 3 right now. Cap 2 seconds behind, Nix right behind him, but we got a 3-way battle for 4th place right now. Again, it's really coming down to the mentality. You're on that final lap, and I believe that's Mime that's getting in front of him. Yes, it is. Mime's starting to take away. Nix will fall down to 5th, potentially 6th place right now, as Energize will also be just circling around them. Really scary stuff right now. Nix cannot be looking at that number on his back. He needs to just focus on getting through this cleanly.
He gets a good exit into the freewheel. Will carry more speed over Energize. Actually, almost catches up to Mime, but it's not going to be enough. 5th place, though, very solid. I'm sure he's going to be super happy about that. Back-to-back top 8.
Oh, yeah. Plus
points.
18 on his points. Really nicely job. Nixotica is playing phenomenal. Again, it's progression and consistency. Those are the most important things. Wow! Look who we have here!
Yeah, that's massive. Evon having a really rough time of things. Actually, sitting only at 9 points, will only gain himself an additional 1. Well, 2, because he has a best lap, actually. So,
yeah,
pump him up to 12. But, still, very rough, and we're not used to seeing that out of Evon.
No, but because of that, Nixotica will climb the leaderboard for this step today and get into 3rd place. But our next map was coming up, I believe, is Vertigo. And this one is my favorite map. I actually can do a decent amount of work on this map. So we're going to get that preview up for you in just a second to check out the identities on this one. It's poles again, but they are not standing up vertically. they're going to be horizontal and bent in a million different ways. It's all about gaining enough speed at the beginning and then trusting yourself here. As you can see, the first identity. Yeah, that's right. They are going to be driving on these poles now. As then the last one is going to be twisty and turny all over the place just to come up to the top again to complete a map. This is one of, I would say it's one of the shorter maps, actually. Or at least it feels like it's one of the shorter maps.
No, this map is very short, but that doesn't mean that it's any less stressful, right? So a lot of time can be gained by full speeding and completely sending these poles, but completely sending the poles brings you a bunch of risk associated with that. Last week we saw this map was the rounds map, and the number of mistakes that were made was just monumental because everyone tried to beat everybody else out by going all out on the pole. But now that we're in the 6-lap mode, I'm very curious to see how the players take them. I expect some will go quite very quickly and open up quite a large bit of gap, but I also expect there to be a few consistent players. I think Nixo is going to take it very consistently. I think there's going to be a lot of major mistakes. So very curious to see how this map plays out. Yeah, we'll be getting into it pretty soon here.
Yeah, just like on the edge, this map is extremely unforgiving on those poles. It can get a little tricky, you know. These guys make it look easy. The players make it look real easy, but it is unforgiving, especially that last identity. There is a very good chance of you just kind of flying off and have zero control. There's possible recovery, but we'll see that when we get there. Lap 1 of Vertigo. This is our 4th map. So this is their last chance of just getting the normal points of placing in the top 8, trying to grab some good points, and then we will be going into the multiplayer round. I want to say multiplayer for some reason. Oh, but Nick's falling down in 9th, really falling here. Some players, full setting, we're seeing already off the bat, a few of them falling off. Oh, and Nick's ended up being one of them. But yeah, no, this is just the first of the few polls that are going to be going up against some of the identities that's going to be hard, and they really wanted to have a lot of speed here to go through this freewheeling here. I would say this is a breather moment, but it's also a moment where people can catch up to you if they gain enough speed through the freewheeling. And here we go, the final identity, the trickiest part of them all. But, you know, Nyx and Fegley both sitting down in 15th and 16th place. But we saw how many mistakes happened right there in the first true identity. So we have 5 more laps of that. Many, many potential chances of mistakes and resets to checkpoints.
Yeah, and we see from Nyx's mistake that he's now 6 seconds down from 8th place. But that 6 seconds is basically nothing when it comes to this map. The respawns are so brutal that you will get knocked back 6 to 10 seconds on the slightest mistake. Nyxo already up into 12th position, just less than a lap from dropping down into 16th, so there's plenty of room to come back, as we see Snow taking that much riskier through the exit of the poles there. So bold of him to do so after assumingly making a mistake earlier in the map, but fair play.
And just for a brief moment, while they're driving in the freewheel, we can see this pole that they're currently on, and we were able to see Otak was sitting like right on Vocile. Is that how I say his name? I don't want to.
Yeah, Vocile.
Vocile. Yeah, he was sitting right on his butt and then lost it somehow, falling behind 0.5. So it is a battle of the top 2 currently between Vocile and Otak. Dofal and Solja both about 2.5 seconds behind, and then from there it is a battle of the top 6 and the top 8, and then the rest of them in the bottom 8 are just all trying to just stay consistent at this point. And Otak, Cap, and Energize all coming up. Vocile made a huge mistake. I mean, that right there just proves how scary of a map this one is. He was holding the lead for the longest time, and then here in lap 3 makes a mistake and drops down to 5th place.
Yeah, Otak, not too surprising that he's doing really well on this map. He was the player last week that was able to win very consistently, but opted to try and go for the ×5 multiplier, and ultimately failed in doing so. But he showed his consistency on this map, which is not something that you should necessarily be consistent on. It's very, very tricky, easy to make the simplest mistakes. Even we see Hydra making a mistake in just the tech corner. Sometimes you can get so focused on the pole sections that your focus slips on the simpler sections, and you just make those tiny mistakes, and it really hurts in the long run.
Yeah, with 2 laps left now, Nyx sitting in 11th place, gonna come up again to the first identity. I really do appreciate how Nyx doesn't take this too risky. But again, that hard part is if you're not going to take it risky, you're not going to be able to gain as much speed here through the freewheel. But there is I would say a good elbow room right now from Rozzy behind Nyx. About a second or half a second behind. Oh my god, as I said that, a caster curse happened. And he's coming up right behind him. Coming up the identity though, Nyx. A little scary there. Rozzy is going to take the 10th place from Nyx as they're going to come to the first tech again. It's incredible. Volstyle actually climbed back up to first place again. It doesn't even matter that he made that mistake. It's almost as if it never happened.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's just, after his first mistake, he's just going all out to try and get that win, because he knows that he has the pace over his opponents. Really impressive to make that recovery. Already opening up a 0.83 gap over Energize, as we see Nixo going a little bit riskier on the exit of the pole and gaining himself some more speed, able to keep up with Rozzy. He's got a 5-second gap to Miquatro, so very comfortable in this 11th position. He will definitely need mistakes in front of him if he wants to try to get into that top 8.
And the nice part about this map is that there is still a very big potential chance.
Even if we only have this last lap to go into.
So coming around the first tech of the lap, Rozzy is starting to pull away from Nyx. I feel that Nyx is starting to play a little bit safe. We'll see if he's going to attempt to just pretty much go all out on this last lap, try to go for it. As Volstyle actually falls back down to 8th place. As we just said just a few seconds ago, this map really can be unforgiving. Nyx is going to be coming up to the identity now. He is going to take some real risks there. Oh, but then he had to fall out on that one. He had to release and brake a little bit. A little worried that he was going to flip over to the other side. So he's not going to have a lot of speed here, and that's going to allow Rozzy just to run away from him.
Miquatro's still quite a ways back, though, so he will be perfectly fine in his 11th position, or at least keeping it. Looks like there are actually no mistakes at the end here. Very interesting. No major ones. We see Wosal actually completely dropping out of the top 8 and will finish in a 12th.
I was about to say, we don't even know yet.
Yeah. So Nixo is bumped up into 10th. Just like that, this map definitely taketh, and this map giveth away. Wosal has been doing fantastically and has nothing to show for it now.
And here we see Revolution will finish up in the final position. It's so rough, but you know what? Revolution, you are my spirit animal. You are showing that no matter what, you are trying your hardest, and we could appreciate that. But we are going to the final map. Here we are. We're going to be coming up to the multiplier map. We will re-explain it for anyone just tuning in, but it is Pool Party. This map is, I wouldn't say it's too hard. It's a very tight map, but the identity can be a little unforgiving coming up later on. We'll see it in the preview. What would you say is going to be the takeaway here in Poolside? I mean, I haven't been able to see a lot of the players really practice this map. I've just been watching Nyx here and there when he was streaming Snowman, but what can we expect? Is this going to be one of those maps where it's going to be more consistency neck to neck, or do you think we're going to be seeing a lot of people falling in and out?
I think this is going to be a really close map. There aren't too many sectors that are massively difficult and risky. in the sense that they will lose out and just completely drop out of the point. However, there are some very awkward sectors, so the players that are able to learn this map quick enough, as they only had about a week to practice it, they will benefit quite greatly. There's a couple weird corners that I'll highlight as the players get to them. One of them being directly after a water bounce, you have to keep. You will have a lot of speed going into the corner, but you also want to not lose. So this corner right here, actually, this corner, all the players take it without drifting, as if they were drifting with their water wheels, they would completely slide out. And then the identity through here is very easy to go wide, as we see. I think that was Snow demonstrating. Also want to avoid the corner holes, as Nixo has demonstrated there. But there aren't like huge gains or losses, but at the same time, the players are definitely going to need to be on point if they want to win these multipliers, because it's just winning the round. That's all that you get. Like, you can't settle for second or third or anything. It's all about first.
Doesn't matter about your position. There are only 2 laps for this one, and it's all about winning the round and what kind of risk you're going to want to take. The first 4 rounds is a 2-time multiplier, and it will multiply all the points you got this split. You're going to probably see a lot of players here are going to either play the course. They're probably going to play the course for a little bit, and then right at the end, if they don't want that 2-time multiplier, they're going to DNF, purposely crash anything. But yeah, for the first 4 rounds, we are going to see a level 2 2-times multiplier. So for the one sitting down low like Fegley, he may want to take chances and just go for the 5-time multiplier in the 8th round. And there's only 1 4 and 1 5-time multiplier in the 7th and 8th round of this 2-lap series. So it's really going to come down to how much risk and how much reward, and all the points they collect here in step 2 are going to add on to the points they got from the previous steps. So yeah, at this point, you can essentially just catapult yourself into a really nice lead if you're someone like Otak or Mime, if you're going to go for that 5-time multiplier.
Otak and Mime currently battling out into the top 2 spots. I'm very curious to see if either one of them will pull out and try and save. Otak, like I had mentioned before, did it last week, but has to have it in his mind where he wasn't able to secure any multiplier in the end. He might just want to capitalize on his 74 points, and quite a large number of points for this step. Mime, of course, very healthy lead in the league standings. I'm sure he would be perfectly fine with just clocking out and watching the rest of the events unfold. As Nixo is currently sitting in the 5th and 6th position. As we go into the final identity here, not too sure if he's going to be able to claw his way back into the first place, but still good practice and warm-up for the upcoming rounds. As it looks like, Razi actually has sniped both. I think Otak DNF, so he purposely DNF'd there. Mime fell back, and Razi was able to capitalize, grab himself ×2.
And just to remind everyone as well, or inform anyone that doesn't know, now that Razi has gone in it, he's out. He doesn't have to play anymore. He will sit with 72 points at the end of this one. But I got a question for you, Snowman. You've been following Nyx for a while. You're good friends with him. What do you think he's going to do? Is Nyx that kind of high-risk, high-reward kind of player, or do you think he's going to just pretty much try to win any of these?
Look, Nixo will definitely try to win when he can, and not make a mistake like that.
Good practice, though. Good practice.
Yeah, the bonus of getting a multiplier is very, very clear, and I think for Nixotica, especially when he's with a 14th position in the overall standings, just getting that bonus will be massive for him, and the risk of getting a bigger bonus is really not there. That being said, there is a little bit of a possible gain to not being able to beat out one of the faster players early, because if they win the first early rounds, they're not playing for the later rounds, and the later rounds are worth more points. So there's a little bit of a give and take, but I'm sure Nixo will probably be going full speed or near full speed for the majority of these rounds.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think he's also going to be doing the same thing. At this point, we saw Nixo being able to take top 8 twice out of the 4 first maps. So he does have some nice hefty points to hold on to. But, I mean, even just getting a 2x multiplier will jump you over Rozzy. So this, I like how Nix is actually just going to take his time. He's going to practice this. This is, honestly, this identity is a tricky identity. You know, you don't want to turn too soon. This, I believe, if I'm correct, this is also plastic, so the turning is a little funny on the turning as well. So you can gain some decent speed off the plastics, but you're also not going to turn cleanly.
Plastic and water is a very deadly combination. It basically means that you have very little grip if you slide at all, and you'll lose out all of your exit speed and will be penalized pretty heavily for it. As we see Snow actually clocking in the ×2 multiplier win for himself right over his teammate. So he's able to bump himself up to 110 points. Pretty good step out of Snow. Especially early on, he wasn't doing so hot, so being able to finish off with 110, I'm sure he was quite pleased with that.
So here we are on the 3rd round, still in 2 times, 6 spots left. So a really good start for Nix, I would say, this time. He's really coming out of the gate strong here, but he still has about 3-4 people in front of him. Oh, Fegley with an awkward bounce there. These dirt paths are just not forgivable. They're just awkward bend in, and if you touch it in the wrong angle, you can just bounce around, and anytime your wheels are not on the ground is not a good time.
Nope. You always want to minimize your airtime, especially on the dirt sectors here, because it's very easy to just kind of slide up onto the edge, and that will lose your momentum quite a bit. As we see a couple players coming back, top 3 still very close between Default, Mime, and Energize. Nixo sitting in 5th, able to capitalize on any mistakes that may come. Good exit speed. Going into the grass sector here. Mime takes a very interesting wide line, probably up to go for more exit speed, as he is able to gap the first couple players.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a nice call there. It's not the most common one, but sometimes you need to just take that risk to go for a wider gap, get more speed out of it. As you can see, a few times now, Nix, right at that turn there, also likes to go a little wide, get a little bit of exit speed to try to push himself a little bit forward. But Mime doing really well. I have a good feeling Mime, though, is going to DNF this. So at this point, if I were Nix, I would try to get in front of Soldier. And if you can, because something tells me that Mime, Default, and Energize are more than likely going to DNF this one.
We'll see. I know Mime would probably be perfectly fine with 120 points, and yes, he will actually end up taking it.
He will take it.
I think that has to do with his rather large lead in the overall rankings. He's almost 100 and some points. Actually, make that almost 200 points up from 2nd place in the overall league standings. So, not optimizing the total amount of points that he can get here is probably not much of a worry to him. He's probably more focused on just securing that bonus. But as we move on to the 3rd round here, Nixo with a pretty good start actually, sitting in the top spot of the first corners.
Ooh. Oh. Really started to take a nice breakaway at the beginning. And then that turn just really unforgiving to Nix. It just seemed I don't think he's been able to 100% figure out that turn. A lot of players have been able to get around him, especially on that first hairpin turn.
Yeah, tech turns like that can be very, very finicky. And a lot of players have a little bit more experience in the tech world than Nixo does. Nixo has always been more of a overall player, whereas some of these players have transitioned into the Trackmania Grand League style sort of map away from very tech-heavy maps. Otak being one of those players, so they can benefit a little bit more.
Oh no, Nix, he lost a little bit of ground there, so he will DNF. Or did he DNF?
Yeah, he did.
No, he did DNF. Okay, I didn't see him drop to the bottom, and I got really confused.
Yeah, he DNF'd, so we're now on board with Default in 8th position. If we can move up into Otak's point of view, currently in 3rd, or Soldier here, we can see the top fight as we see Energy Z takes a very awkward bounce, will drop down. Evon is gapping the top 2, but here comes Otak with an insane amount of speed. Evon makes a mistake. It's now up to Otak and Soldier. Now, I don't know if Otak will go for this ×2 because he gave away the ×2 earlier in the match. But it may not even matter if he loses out to Soldier anyway.
Otak though.
Goes for a very interesting line into the water exit. Actually pays off quite considerably. Final identity here. Otak with a pretty healthy margin. I don't think Soldier's going to be able to beat him unless he... Yes, he does bail out.
There it is. Last second. Jumps off and gives the ×2 to Soldier. So it's gonna be some hefty points for Soldier. I think he needed that one.
Yeah, definitely. I think he has the last couple steps he hasn't been able to secure himself the bonus, despite having good overall steps before the bonus round. So I'm sure he's plenty happy to finally get a ×2 multiplier for himself.
So we will get ourselves back on to. We are back on Nixotica now, as that is our main POV points. 7th place right now. A lot of the players all clumped up together, doing a really good job here. Oh, see a few of them slide off. Oh, they do recover, so they were going for the wider exit. Nick's getting really close to the wall. He ends up clipping it. Oh, that's so rough. But just also, as a reminder, there are only 4 spots left, and we are in the 3× multiplier. There are 2 more 3× multipliers left, and then we will go into the 4× and the 5× multiplier. So Nix is having a little bit of a rough one for this one. I think he's just going to end up practicing this one. If we can maybe hop on over to one of the French players and see how they're doing up in front. Really going to be interesting on who's going to go for these points, because now we are in the 3× multiplier. Hydra falling pretty far behind in 7th place. And Energize and Evon battling for that front as they're 1,000ths. Now let's make that 100ths of a second away from each other. Energize, I think he may actually go for this one. Evon is going to take the lead though. Oh, but he takes it. Oh my god, I'm sorry. But there's so many casters and so many different channels. We probably all cursed him right there on the moment. So Otak going to take the lead. I feel like if I was Otak, this would probably be one of the ones I would go for. He played extremely risky last week, and it did not pay off. If I were him, you're sitting at 74 points. Take the 3× multiplier. Really just guarantee yourself a better solidified position. Who was that just bumped? I didn't even see the name.
That was Link.
Oh, Link. Yeah, so he's going to be out of that one. But Otak's still holding the front. We will have to see if he's going to go and try. Oh, Default. He's going to take this one.
Otak actually makes a slight mistake and clips the outside pole, so Default will benefit and grab himself the ×3. I was very curious to see if Otak was going to take the ×3. I think he should, like he said, but with that mistake, he's not going to be able to.
All right, so we're going to be hopping back on with Nixo, who's been having a little bit of a rough time. This map is a pretty tight map. There's a lot of I wouldn't even say really difficult mechanics in this game, more just awkward, if I personally would say.
Yep.
So Nyx is struggling a little bit, but we have 3 slots left. This would probably be a great time for Nyx to see if he can grab on to one of these multipliers. Oh, he turns off. A little awkward there, and then bumps the wall. Just that turn is just not Nyx's friend. He is going to end up DNFing that one. So we are currently on board with Evan. Really surprising to see down here in 8th, now taking 7th place, right behind Volsayo. And Link holding that first place right now. I would be very surprised if Link does not try to take this one, but he has made small mistakes that pretty much take him out of this one. If we can maybe hop on... I'm sorry, go ahead.
He actually made a small mistake as you were mentioning it, and will lose out to Miquatro. Link still within the fight, though.
I need to stop talking.
26 back from Miquatro and gaining. But yeah, I do not believe any of the top players will pass up on this ×3 spot unless we see Otek here already coming back. He will go for his outside heavy exit line speed as he comes flying back here. Whether or not he'll be able to catch Miquatro is hard to say. I think Miquatro has looked pretty consistent on this map so far, and he'll definitely love to grab a ×3 for himself.
Yeah, I was about to say, Miquatro sitting down in the 40s points. A 3 times multiplier would be very nice for him. So I don't think he's going to give this one up. But Otek had a promising push right there. But
yeah, went on the attack, went for the more aggressive line. Did not able to fully capitalize on it.
Yeah, it didn't pay off for him too well, unfortunately. But Energize, you can see, is right behind these guys. Oh, someone just fell behind. I didn't see who it is, but it doesn't matter. Miquatro is going to take the 3-time multiplier, and if I am correct, we're going to be moving on to the 4-time multiplier. There are going to be only 2 spots left to try to multiply your score. This is going to be big because we're in step 3. Next week is the first half official of league play, so you're going to want to create some nice buffer room as these new maps come out, as people have to start learning more and more about these maps. And honestly, this season has just been, if I had to give one word to summarize this entire season, it's unforgivable. As I said that, someone goes flying away.
Yeah, and the Grand League has been very much known in the past, even through its multiple different phases of rule sets. It's very unforgiving, no matter how you're playing. But all it takes is one good step, and then you're back in the fight. As we see Nixo and Fegli in the top 3 right now. Hydra only in front of them. Great opportunity for both of these players, who would absolutely love to grab themselves a multiplier, even if it's the ×4.
Ooh, and Cap actually joins the battle for the first place fight. The 4 players here, all by themselves. Evan and the rest down are all the way at the bottom with the. But Hydra he will DNF. So
yeah, he ran into the outside pull, similar to what Otek did a couple rounds ago. So we see Fegli up top now.
USA, and with that, come on, Nyx. Start gaining that lead. You are now in first place and holding pretty well. This is going to be big for Nyx if you can hold on to this one. But I would say we're only halfway through this second lap. He's bonked these walls before. He's able to hold the line very nicely, get the quick wiggle on the dirt that allows him to get a little bit more speed. Coming up again to another dirt turn. Little tight one. Nyx has been able to hold this one nicely. Up into this awkward jump to the pool side. Bouncing out, does a nice job slowing down, not drifting. Nyx is still holding the speed with at least almost a half a second ahead. Oh, but he's coming back. Nyx, he's going to really have to focus on this one, as Cap is going to be a neck-to-neck, nose-to-nose with him on this one. Oh, Nyx is
super tight
here. Oh, he's sliding. No! He's going to lose that one. A really tough one. He really tried to go for the extreme turns. But again, as Snowman said earlier, plastic and water is very, very slippery. You might as well just be playing in ice at that point.
Yeah, that's got to be really brutal for Nixo. Had a great opportunity and is not able to hold it into the very final corner. But there is still one chance for him left, and it's the biggest multiplier of all. So if he's going to capitalize, this is the time to do it.
He has been practicing in all the other rounds, especially in that pool side. So yeah, this is going to be the time where he's going to have to do it. And there are only 9 players left in this multiplier round. We have seen some amazing plays coming out of players like Link and Otak, but they have also made some really crucial mistakes in these past rounds. We don't know if maybe they just weren't really paying attention too much, but Link will be up in front, followed by Energize and Otak. Fegley and Nyx following close in this top 5 battle. Again, only first place is going to take this 5 times multiplier. This is going to be big for anyone who can win this one, especially for Otak or Energize, who are sitting in 74 points for Otak. Energize with 66. This is only lap 1 of the 2 laps coming into the identity. And everyone seems to be doing pretty well. Nyx, slides down a little bit, so the exit of this is going to be weird. He ends up recovering that pretty nicely, I would actually have to say. So he's still in top 4, but falling behind 0.6 of a second. And the other 2 really tight behind Otak, with Energize and Fegley falling just behind them.
Yeah, Otak here is going to be looking to prove his strategy, as we saw him purposely throw a couple times 2s, but now it's all down to times 5 if he is able to grab it.
Still here. Evan is still here for the fight. I apologize for interrupting you, Snowman, but Evan, we almost forgot about him. One of the best players, I would say, in the Challenger League, one of the Polish players, and he is not giving up just yet. He had a rough step, I would say, for this week, but contender now in the top 5, and he is still slowly but surely pushing up as Fegley is going to hit that wall. And now it's coming down to the final identity. Energize seemed to come out of the exit a little weird. Evan ended up floating. It's between Nyx and Otak, but Otak is going to take that one. Nyx with the best lap of a 109.017. Big multiplier for Otak, and he will take first place for week 3, step 3, I should say.
Yeah, really unfortunate stuff for Nyxos. Second place in both times 4 and the times 5 multiplier. Does not gain him anything, though. Still really impressive run out of him. Good solid step overall, I'd say. Able to grab himself a decent amount of points. Unfortunately, can't see the full ranking, but we can see the league ranking now in its updated fashion.
And as you can see, there's a lot of movement going around. Otak will jump up to 2nd place, knocking Hydra down. Cap will take 4th place. Razi and Solja now in the top 8 contenders. Snow is going to be coming up. Nyx and Revolution are one of the only 2 in the bottom half to not move. But again, this was only step 3 of 8, so there are plenty of steps for Nyx to bounce back in and try to get something done. But that will be it for the Trackmania Grand League Challengers. Up next will be the main event, but we will not be showing it here. So we want to thank you all for tuning in and joining us here at the first ever RBG Esports debut of Trackmania. Such a fun time. I'm so excited that we got to do this, and we get to do this 5 more times. Snowman, thank you very much for joining. Any last words you'd like to say before we get out of here?
I just want to say that I'm very much looking forward to these next coming steps. We saw Otak clock in almost 300 points for himself. So if you'd be able to do that just once, you're well within the playoff fight. So very much looking forward to these next coming steps, and I want to give a massive thanks for bringing me along here. It's been an absolute pleasure casting with you, Randomize.
Of course, and it's been a pleasure casting with you. Hope to continue doing it in the future, unfortunately. Because daylight savings, it will be a little bit harder for me, so Snowman will more than likely be the one doing some of the beginning of castings, and I hope I'll be able to hop on and join later on. But that will be it here at RBG Esports. If you are new to the channel, I know we have a decent amount of new faces in the chat. Please make sure to hit the follow button to know when we go live with more esports action all over the esports scene, whether it's Rocket League, CSGO, now Trackmania. Very excited for all you Trackmania folks. We will see you next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, because the time zones will finally lock in together. So with that, I have been Randomized. I've been your host for tonight. Thank you again to Snowman for joining us. We are going to get out of here. Have a great night, and we'll see you all next week.